Okay, are we on Facebook? We are live. Yay!
Wow.
Because we're live.
So
So I'm going to pray that we're live right now. But guys, we figured it out. I'm so excited and honored to be live on Facebook with the amazing Michelle and Henry Roth. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Say hello.
Finally, we can hear each other. New York City.
Yeah, so Michelle is currently in New York City and Henry's in Sydney, Australia, and I'm in Boston. So the internet is freaking amazing. It has been such an honor to see, like, since I've been married, just getting to know them personally. So I just wanted them, as we have a new audience here on Facebook, to introduce themselves briefly to you. So Michelle, let's start with you. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you're a mom, you're a bridal designer. Break it down for us.
Grew up in Sydney, Australia, have done bridal all my life, even though I studied at the University of Sydney. I came to the United States and started our company here. Henry joined me, and we had a retail store actually on 57th Street. And then from there we grew, and we are now exclusive at Kleinfeld. Our designs are exclusively available there. I am a mother. I have twins, and I am in contact with my brother all the time, 24 hours a day, because we design together. And here we are now doing our podcast with you.
Love it. Love it. And I think bravo to all the success you've had thus far. It's so inspiring, amazing. And I think it's so awesome too that you guys as siblings are just like crushing the design world together. So Henry from Sydney, tell us what's up with you, a little bit about your backstory and what you're currently working on.
First of all, Michelle and I have many agreements and many disagreements, but the one thing we definitely agree upon is how much we enjoy knowing you, how much we enjoy seeing what you do, and we really are, to us, the epitome of the can-do, the person that, you know, the power of one, and you really invigorate and assist people. So we're really honoured that we are the first of your guests on your podcast. You're technologically fearless.
It might have taken us an hour, but we figured it out.
We did it. we persevered. We persevered.
You know, exactly. I think for all of us, I think the bottom line with that is it was always a lesson. There's always a billboard to everything.
Yeah.
And why that happened today with your show, with the very first show, is this. It's a test. And the test was, regardless of what's put in front of you, you all stay calm. You know, some people really melt down. Technology is a big deal now. And we all had decided that we were going to be on about an hour ago. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But we reminded ourselves it's not a kidney operation. So this has given you, we have christened the show, we have got the champagne open, and it bodes well for you because nothing ruffles you.
Well, we figured it out, and that's the beauty of patience, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Let it go. Just like let it go earlier.
That's true, and you have to apply it to everything.
Seriously.
And also,
All right, so
from my side, not only am I working with two very highly intelligent women, but may I say you're representing America both in Boston and in New York City extraordinarily well. And I made sure I put on my suit this morning, and I made a very big cup of tea. And so very picky about me. I think Michelle and I best when it comes to bridal when we work together. I think that's actually the magic and the strength of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it works is Michelle I'm not so sure about this, we need to look at it again. She's the real detailed person that makes this true success of the company.
Thank you.
Because if you don't have the nuts and bolts bolted in, then it's going to fall to pieces. My background is I have a law degree. I am a child, as Michelle, of Holocaust survivors. And that is why the symbolism and the values that our company are about, acceptance and love and beauty. And my parents, when they survived the Holocaust, the message to us was, we have an opportunity now. Every time a couple or a bride goes down the aisle, they are taking with them our luck, our good wishes, and renewable chapters. So that's a huge thing for us. We're very, very big on that. For me personally, I've been blessed with extraordinary highs in my professional career. I'm the original mentor on Project Run Australia. Together, Michelle and I in New York City, got the privilege of being an exclusive designer at Kleinfeld. And we recently did this shoot. And just like you got me now, I was like the talking head. And Michelle has an assistant literally taking me around. And
that was like amazing. Can we talk about that virtual experience? How he was like on site with you and you were just around?
You know, we have a particular access at Kleinfeld because of our position there, and we were doing a shoot there. And so I had my computer, and Henry said, you know what, I want to be doing the shoot with you, but of course it's the opposite time. So it was started at 11 o'clock at night time, and we finished at 7 in the morning. I had somebody walk around with the computer, and we shot together. We did everything together. It was as if Henry was standing by my side, and so you get used to it after a while. And it was extraordinary that we could do it. It was really extraordinary. And Henry and I had different ideas about certain shots, and we tried each one. But how could we have done that if we weren't together? And this was the best way. If Henry couldn't be in New York, that he was with us anyway. So it was fantastic, and it was a brilliant shoot. It was a brilliant shoot. Beautiful.
It was. I think that to round up about me very quickly, and also that shoot. That so I've been on. I had my own show in America, right across the country for 2 years. It was a very what they call a strip show in America. That's Monday to Friday, peak time from 7:30 to 8:30 at night. It was called Style Court, and I was Judge Henry Roth, and it was this whole thing, whatever. And I was up against the stylist of Sex and the City, by the way. Which is unbelievable. But the most fantastic thing was we filmed next to the studio with Judge Judy. So it was, and I can give you a list as long as my arm. I've done, Beauty and the Geek. I have done Australia's Biggest Loser. Michelle and I have been on a lot of television in America at a point in our time. And I'm very proud that I can bring that to the brand. But I think what's most important from my perspective is that now as we get a bit older, the values, the way the world is, and we believe that we have the possibility to be positive. We have the possibility to take our heritage and pass that on to people. It's our responsibility. Surely Jewish people, or any people on this planet, understand one thing, and that is to single out people because they're different is not great. So there's 2 last things I want to tell you. We'll go into the show. Number one, I'm very proud to say that I had the most extraordinary experience the last 6 months with my father. Can you imagine sitting in front of your dad with a tape recorder that works, and actually him sitting there, eye to eye, opposite each other, and saying his memoirs?
When is that going to be out, Henry? When are you aiming for that to be completed?
So say that again.
When are you aiming to have your book completed?
So we committed everything to audio. And now we're going through the process of editing it. And it has to be very authentic because it's his voice. And I have to make sure I'm not writing anything into it. So anything I feel that's not there, we have to go into it. By 2020, the book will be called The Stories I Told My Son. So that is the best experience I've had in anything, including any TV show, anything that I'm going to have in the future. Nothing can beat that experience. It was exceptional. Our parents are amazing people. My mother wrote a book, The Right Time to Speak, and that was very much in the girls' department. So now the boys are revving up, and of course our goal is to knock their socks off, our socks off, and display, change the decision of who's the best #1 bestseller in our family, from my mother's book to my father's book. But my mother doesn't like that. But so that's number one thing that I have to say has been while working with Michelle and doing all that sort of stuff. I'm very proud of the Kleinfeld. And the final thing is, over the weekend, I did that experience with Michelle on the Skype, and I've done a lot of that stuff. I used to do trunk shows live into stores around the world, but the technology has improved so much, and it was like I was there. And the next day I woke up and I got the rushes of the shoot, and I was really pissed off. I'm like, how come the photographer got to put me in the photograph? And I realised because I swear it was like that for me. I'm like, come on. So, but over the weekend, what I did was, for 7 months, I worked with people with intellectual disabilities. And I'm going to tell you, the speech that I gave on Saturday night, I was very transparent.
Wasn't it in front of like 700 people or something?
1,000.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was magical. And the truth of the thing of the matter is, the way the health system is changing, it's basically forcing the company that I represented to embrace those people in a much more interactive day-to-day basis. And I still think there's still a lot of work to do, but I can understand that. But what I did was I stood up and I confessed that I was fearful of all these disabilities. And anyway, so I was really proud that I was able to contribute to that organisation. So we bring to our label, I believe, love and the real people. That's Michelle Roth. I'm actually Henry Roth. We're not a made-up name. We actually connect with our brides personally.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we are exclusively a client for the Michelle's decision was because we wanted to have it meaningful. Now, we know people from all over the world go into client, but more of the people everywhere else. We know we might alienate people sometimes, but if you go into client for the Michelle Roth or Henry Roth, you're getting a unique piece of history as well. It's a limited edition in a way. So that's the story, Jackie. In 30 seconds left.
Yeah, 30 seconds. That was a great 2 minutes, Henry. Loved it. No, so I want to talk about both of your styles too before we get into talking about now like mortgage versus like wedding budgets, because that's just a big thing right now. But you guys have your own styles. So like when it comes to wedding design, Michelle, tell us a little bit about your styles, and Henry, tell us about the dresses you design.
Michelle Roth, in 2 words, is classic chic. That's exactly what Michelle is. Not too much, not too little, but everything counts.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I design is a little different to Henry because we are 2 individuals, so we bounce off each other. I still have a certain way. It's the way that I dress. It's the way that I see brides. It's the way that I think a woman is going to feel in her dress. And that's how I design. It's classic chic.
I love it. Very, very specific. But
very specific. And I'm also a very... just in my everyday life, I'm not a very fussy person. So I say things the way that they are. I say it kindly and I say it nicely, but I don't take too much time to dwell on things and to go over things. I just like to be clear, focused, and the person who I'm speaking to gets the message immediately.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Henry? Tell our audience your style.
Before I do it, like Michelle's style. I'm such a bad interviewer because I always answer. I'm so Jewish in that way. I'm like, before I answer you that question, I'm going to answer you a question you haven't even asked.
Okay, whatever you think is right. I'm trusting your judgment.
Well, I don't know, Jackie. I think you're going to get stricter on me as the time goes on. We love your interviewing process, by the way. This is what I think is interesting with Michelle, and I've never quite found the words yet. It's the thing about Michelle's style that's unique is somehow the gown screams with elegance with low volume. I don't know how it has such an extraordinary presence. That's number one, the way I see the gowns. And second of all, there is this evergreen. Now, when you say to somebody that when you're wearing a Michelle Roth, you can look at it 30 years later and it's going to have relevance. It's hard to translate. So it's shorthand, we say it's classic chic, but I believe my sister has a sense of minimalist style that's still so elaborate. And the final thing I want to say about Michelle's gowns is I've always believed, now my father is what we call a womanist. As we've been writing this book, I don't know if you know this or not, Michelle, but my father, I said to my father, if you believe women should be ruling every single country in the world, that women should really be in power, that we would have no war because no woman is going to send their son to war. We came from the school that, our mother was on a pedestal and it was everything we had to do was around making my mother's life easy, and if we were disrespectful, we wouldn't want to have breakfast the next morning sort of thing. So having said all of that, interestingly enough, my father said that my mother is actually the leader of our family.
Oh.
And I think that what I think Michelle did, and I never knew that, you mean the leader of our family? He said, yes. Yes. So that today's Michelle's gowns, because I believe women can be number one in our family, women. So that's where we're coming from. But most importantly, it's so interesting that you can have a strength and confidence with such fragility and femininity at the same time. That's the whole point.
I love how much you guys just have a beautiful bond, the two of you.
That's true. That's true.
It's a good day today, that's all. Henry Roth, I would say, is, as you can see, and as you're experiencing, I would say I'm rather theatrical. But it's within. My father's theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
But he's much more. He gets away with much more. But he'd be my father because I believe he's come back to this planet many times. He's a man of many, many lives. But for Henry Roth, I would say I am representative of brides that really and truly want to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be irreverent. They think about the apple tinny or the vegan meal, whatever they're doing. They are very active in being conscious and aware of sustainability and globalism. And
excuse me, the battery. Keep talking.
Oh, no problem. Keep talking. This is real life. We're just playing around. I'm playing around with the visuals too. This is like really fun. I'm listening though. Keep going, Henry.
Are you? Oh my God. So I think that to summarize, I think that my brides are rightfully my best.
Put your phone closer, Henry. It's hard to hear. Put your phone closer to your mouth.
Okay. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay. So I think that for me, very, very quickly, I think it's she's got spunk and she's got attitude and she's no control and she embraces everything that's going with regard.
I'm looking for
anything to do with.
I'm looking for another thing to plug into. Sorry, I know this is the Wandering Vodcast. Oh, one
hysterical
outlet.
I just found the best podcast ever.
I found another outlet.
How New York is that apartment look? How New York is that space look? That was very muted tone.
It's how happy I feel when it's muted. Oh,
all right. So Henry, tell us more. So let's go into because we were discussing how mortgage and wedding budgets. Let's dive into that a little bit because weddings can be very expensive and big investments for people. So what's your initial thing that you would advise someone going into planning a wedding?
I think one thing is Michelle and I were talking about this before we actually got on there with you. And that is, we take the way we keep up to date with our industry is we take everything that brides tell us, email us, get us feeling for it.
I mean,
but also you have to research. You still have your own industry, like a doctor. When doctors have to constantly update themselves with exams and tests that they have. So we did a lot of research on this as well. And we brought it together. I think the truth of the matter is, for where people in the wedding industry would like to think that weddings are first and foremost on everybody's mind the rest of their lives. There's that very la band out there that the bridal industry pump out, sugar and spice and everything's nice. The truth of the matter is, and I've taken my statistics from Michelle and I went through this together, Wall Street Journal, the Knot.com, Bride to Be in Australia, I mean, really substantial, the New York Times. Basically, our reading is showing us some very fun, interesting statistics. Number one, the amount of money that American brides are spending on weddings is going up. Our average price is approximately $35,000 US.
So that's standard. That's average.
That's average.
Okay.
And Michelle, how much was it in Australia? This block,
in Australia, it was 65,000 Australian dollars, which is about 50,000 US.
Yeah. So number one. Number two, what's interesting is, however, although on average now sort of really look to Americans are the biggest, because guess what? You've got many more people than we do in Australia. But the truth is this, that what's happening with the trend, that they are cutting down the average number of guests from 149 over the last 5 to 6 years to 141 guests. Interestingly enough, they're still on average spending more. So that means the importance of a bride and her wedding and the couple and the wedding is still very much important. But here's the clincher. And I think, Michelle, you might want to come in with one of your stories here. But the bottom line is this. Our statistics show us, our analytical show us that we actually, believe it or not, our average age of Michelle Roth is between 20 and 35. That starts because you think would be
they get married so common now as young as 20.
Yeah, 20 to 35 is our man group. But think about millennials. So what's happening is, and this hits us as well, and this is what Michelle's own experience. Millennials have completely turned the trends and what people are doing with weddings and their mortgage upside down. For them, stability, a home, number one, over weddings. 44% of couples generally in America are spending paying their own wedding anyway. So what's interesting is they're realistic. And what they're saying is, although when they get to it, they're spending more money, strangely enough, they're waiting. And it's normally, I read this gorgeous article, Michelle actually sent it to me. She said, how to read this? Mainly couples today are walking in and out of this. So they walk out the same door where they're going to their wedding. They have their wedding, and guess what? They're walking back through the same door together.
So you're saying a lot of them now like live together before marriage, and yeah.
And home, and live at home. So what was you said you had a bride.
So it was just recent. I just had a bride, and I think that there is a definite tug of war between the mortgage and having the wedding. And brides are, or people in general, are just very aware now of having the necessity of a home over their heads, and this tension between the mortgage, what we call the mortgage, and having a wedding is really high on their minds. And so I just had a bride recently, and she said, my wedding is going to cost $80,000. But in the meantime, I need to have a house over my head. I need to have a roof over my head. And she was really conflicted. So anything with M, whether it's mortgages, whether it's money, I think it's so vital that you are on the same page as your soon-to-be spouse. Because when we think about weddings, we want to be in that cloud. We don't want to have to worry about reality. And we just want to, be in the romance of it. But the truth is that the big M, meaning money, definitely plays a huge role in all our lives, in every aspect of our life. And this is the first aspect and the first time when the couple together really get to experience what money buys and can't buy, and what is necessary and what is required. So this idea of having a full-blown wedding, and as Henry said, 44% pay for their own weddings, has now come under scrutiny. It's no longer a free-for-all. It's no longer that the parents say you can do whatever you want within limits. Stability between the two of them and having something solid is uppermost on most brides' minds. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You got married recently. Does this resonate with you?
Completely, because for us personally, like where we live, we pretty much have ownership in, because it's like a family like home. So we just like kind of fell into it. So for us right now, it worked. Like we weren't looking to buy immediately, but right now, like we were totally thinking about, should we spend all this money on our wedding, or should we save the money and buy it? It was definitely something we thought about.
Yes.
Can I ask you something? I did an interview with you, Michelle. I think it was the famous interview where we turned the tables, and I actually had the honour for Jackie's 4th anniversary of interviewing her. And I don't think I'm speaking out of school here, but what resonated for me when we were doing this research, I said to Michelle, I remember when Jackie was telling me right in the beginning, when she moved from New York to Boston, that you and your husband now, current husband, and the only bunch of children that they had, stay together at his family's home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. I mean, that's probably had to provide the space and everything, but also part of that is the transitional. In other words, you were not unusual. What was unusual before is not unusual now. People are going back to their families' homes, couples, whether they're married or not, because
so true. So true.
And they're saving. That's the whole point. Is that this other bride also was living at the fiance's parents' house. They were living there together, and they wanted to accumulate as much as they could in order to find either a place to live or something they would have together. And, there's a lot of conflict that happens between couples because of this. And I think it's extremely important that you are on the same page as much as possible. And I had advised this bride, and maybe I shouldn't have, but that's how I am, because I saw she was in such angst. And I said, you need to go out with your husband away from the house. You need to go out for dinner, and you need to lay out exactly what you're both on the same page about, what you both want, and leave the family away from you. Take away all that stress and just speak together, and you will work things out. Make a list. and work it out together, because money, the big M, is going to come in between everybody in any aspect of your life. And so money can do a tremendous amount of things, but you have to know how to manage it. You have to know how to spend it. You're not always going to be on the same page about that. But when it comes to a wedding, and if you are putting that bill, and even if you're getting, some funds from other family members, you still have to be very aware and very careful of what you're spending on. And sometimes you reduce the number of people, as Henry said. It's going from 149 to 141 people, but you can find ways. There are definite ways that you can do this.
So, general question for you, because you guys started in the industry when it was totally different. From then to now, what is the comparison? Like seeing it change?
Our heads are swirling.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mine's not swirling. I never swirl.
No, that's true. No, that's not part of his character.
But I'm surprised he even says swirling, because mine is always swirling. Why is your head swirling?
Because the accent has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, a bride would come in, one bride would come in with one person, maybe two people, and they would sit and they would choose the dress, and it would be sometimes the mother's choice rather than the bride's choice. And perhaps she didn't have such a voice in her own wedding dress. That alone now is an enormous change. It's not even recognizable anymore. Brides come in, they have looked through magazines, they have gone through the internet, they have researched, they know every designer, they know exactly what they're looking for. And if they don't know what they're looking for, they allow the consultant to assist them. But even so, they definitely have a point of view or a perspective, because they already know, most brides, where they're going to get married, what season they're going to be married.
So
they've all laid out. They've got sketchbooks, they've got scrapbooks, they've got everything, mood boards, they've got their, but now brides come in with 10 or 12 people. How anybody makes a decision, I'm not quite sure, but I've seen the decision making take place.
How does that even, maybe because I went with 4 people, but when you go with 10, how do you even decide?
You have to see who the power broker is there. That's for sure. Sometimes it's not the bride. Yeah, and sometimes the bride leaves in tears because she may come out in a gown that she absolutely feels amazing in, and only 2 of the 12 like it. And so, mostly people are supportive, but they're there to voice an opinion, and they do voice opinions, and sometimes it's not so kind.
So as experts, I want to hear from both of you, because Henry hasn't talked in a minute, but who would you recommend should absolutely go with you to your dress fitting?
The person that you trust the most, that can give you an objective point of view and show you love and show you support. That's who it is.
My sister didn't say my sister didn't say your mother or your father, which would have been absolutely rule number 1. It's who you trust the most. Big difference. Huge, massive. And it's not supposed to be insulting. It's the reality of relationships. That's how the world is.
It's so true.
Yeah, you got to feel comfortable when you're going to your appointment, because you want to have a clear mind. And you know what? It's supposed to be pleasurable. It's supposed to be so much fun. And it's not supposed to be so stressful. It really isn't. If you can just have that perspective. But it can be, and it mostly is.
Right. So true. It is. I feel like it's so many mixed emotions, and then I can't even imagine with having that many people there, how even more stressed out and anxious you would be.
It really is quite stressful.
Yeah. Just on that very laser point, I think that that's what I think again would be to the future, because when people are consulting with us.
One of my earlier questions I had for you guys too is there's so many different body types. Mm-hmm. So how do you, when it comes to trying on dresses, are there certain that you recommend more for somebody that has big boobs or somebody that has a big butt? What would you normally recommend?
You know what? It even doesn't matter what we normally recommend, because all the rules, there are no rules. There are brides who are very well endowed, and they wear very sheer, no support dresses. That's a trend. Then there's the bride that wants a lot of structure. So it doesn't even matter about body types, because now women are more empowered about how they look. They're not going to be put into a little they're not going to be put into that hourglass figure anymore. They're not there about dieting till they're a size 2, because what does that give anybody?
It's true.
They're about feeling comfortable, confident, and they want to feel the way that they are. They want to project who they are. They're not there as a figurine on top of the cake. They're there as a real woman, as a real bride.
So
and they
true.
feel that. They really do.
I love that. I love that. Well said.
However,
It's about feelings. It's about feelings.
yes, it's
Feelings,
about feelings.
yeah.
However,
It's only about feelings.
one thing that Henry and I are very clear about and very direct, because we're very honest. And if we really feel that a dress is not suitable either to the location or to the figure type, or or they can wear something that's perhaps a little bit more flattering, we will say what we feel to the bride. And
Right.
in a nice way, like perhaps you can try a different dress. Let me choose something for you. We have an eye. We've seen so many things over our lives. And so dealing with these wonderful women, they trust us. And if they don't like it, that's okay too. But at least we're giving them another option
Right.
option to see themselves look slightly differently to perhaps the way that they had thought they wanted to walk down the aisle.
I think there's another layer to that, though. The other layer to that is interesting because we discussed this as well. That's definitely true. So, in other words, we see that a gown really, we don't think is doing the person justice, we're going to say it. But there's a middle ground to that as well. Sometimes, and we have to be discerning on actual design and personal taste. When a bride puts on a gown, and it's not a gown that I would necessarily have chosen for her, or a gown that I necessarily think may look as fantastic, something else I may choose, Michelle's always said to me, about 1 minute, personal taste, how you feel inside, actually ignites the gown. It's not about the fabric. Guess what? Fabric is dead. It's not alive. Fabric is dead.
It's true.
It's you. You're putting the energy into it. So I'm always so careful, remembering what my sister has said, that there's a difference between something really and truly not going to work, and yet be so diplomatic on that as well, because you don't want to undermine a person's confidence. The last thing you want to be doing is that. But it's our responsibility. So there's that very thin slice between that and the actual reality of that person is going to ignite that down, and she is going to just rock it. So I think that's a very important point. And I want to just go back one, if I could, and that was the pressures you were talking about. What was it like when we first started? What is it like today? And I think the thing is, if you actually break it down, the variables are pretty much the same. It's just the players and also the kinds of pressures that have changed. So basically, it's always going to be a cost for housing. There's always going to be cost for the wedding. But if you take those two variables, then you look at what's the cost of affordability ratio, what's happened to affordability, housing's gone out of the ceiling, right? And at the same time, who has taken over mainly the responsibility? It's gone from parents to the couple. So now all of a sudden, couples are really feeling it because it's now the thing. Couples are just paying for their weddings, mainly, a lot. I think 40% is work. So you've got the same pressures, but it's all pretty much landed, shifted completely. And then within that as well, there are no rules. So overall, just to sort of hack off that concept of what we're talking about between mortgages and weddings, we are not the kind of designers that will say a wedding is more important than mortgages. We don't believe that. We actually believe that it's really and truly stability is number one. I would never say to a person, forsake your savings and buy my crop. I would like to, but I don't think that's number one. No, so we actually support the trend. Most people in the industry would hate for us to say that, but we work with people every day. We're everyday people that, extraordinary people like everybody else, but we work with, brides every day. That's number one. Number two, we say this, like everything's happening in weddings and everything that's happening in life, and we're so connected. How you create your own reality, a reminder to everybody, is your business, and it is your, take the pressure away. It doesn't matter when people are, I was reading an article, this bride is really upset because she's sitting at home with her family and the groom to be, and there's all this pressure about the wedding engagement ring. So he went out and bought her an engagement ring together with her, and then he rescinded it. Too much pressure. Because it was too much cost. He realised he couldn't afford the mortgage payments. That's reality. So it doesn't matter what people, when they ask you, when are you getting engaged? When are you having children? When are you having your home? What are you going to have for your main meal for your wedding? Irrelevant. irrelevant. You don't have to go to that drum at all. Take that away. You know your variables, and whatever your recipe is, it's right for you. That's really important.
True. You know, I'm even noticing more and more now too that people are getting engaged, buying the house, and getting married like years later.
Yep. Yes.
19 months is average now, Jackie. 19 months is the average age of engagement. It's a long time.
Wow.
Like we engage by 5 months or something.
Yeah.
But also, they just book out so far in advance too.
That's true. That's
so
true.
it's like a catch-22, you know.
So can I ask you, for you personally, now you can tell me, because I know your husband will be listening thoroughly. He listens to everything that you do. I can see him in the background visually, although we don't see him. And I know that he's the kind of guy you don't muck around with. So I want to make sure I'm gentle with my questions on you. But what was your reality for yourself? What was your situation? You know, just
we got engaged in May of 2017 and got married in July 2018. So that was about 14 months.
Right. Right.
So yeah, because the place that we originally wanted was booked out for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we were just kind of scrambling around, but we were totally deciding, should we just do a small wedding where the two of us just get married and then come back? I mean, that's literally what we were contemplating because we wanted to save money. So it's like, how can we maximize, like, get all the dream things that we want, you know, but also like have a long-term benefit rather than just a one-off wedding. Does that make sense? It's worth it in every way.
That's the point. That's the point. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
What did you choose? How did you choose? Did you have to compromise? What was your final choice?
That's a good question. So I think we found this happy medium of a place that was very cost effective, that was on the beach, and it was just a go. So now we're saving money for a house. We had the honeymoon that we wanted, and now we're just starting over, essentially. But that was what happened.
And talking about it is, and also then if you break it down even more, honeymoons. There are two aspects to that. Sometimes brides have on their bridal registry that you can contribute to their wedding, to their honeymoon. And the other thing is some people are delaying their honeymoon and do it at another time when they feel that they're going to be more relaxed. After the wedding, they go back to work and then go on a honeymoon at another time.
So speaking of that, sorry to Michelle, but you bring up such a good point. So what we did was we got married and we did a mini moon. It was more cost effective. We went away for a weekend, the weekend after our wedding.
Right.
And then we went away like 3 months later.
There you go. You see, it's all because now options, changes, everybody can make up their own mind. It doesn't follow a formula anymore. It's not the 50s. It doesn't follow any formula because everything is acceptable if it's acceptable to you.
Right.
If it's acceptable to you, that's all that matters. Yeah.
You can be clever, which is what you were. You were clever. It's like, you know what? And that's what I find specific, you know, really, truly with American brides. And I'm trying to be gentle, but the ability to be clever. Like, everybody knows everything that's going on. People know our styles, what they're called and what they look like better than we do. I promise you. They really do.
It's true.
Because everybody knows everything. And so what you're saying there is super clever. Like, normally when people have a conversation like this, when they're doing wedding planning, so people like us normally get on and we start listing, you know, you can say 25 cents on this thing, and if you use this thing, you'll sell $1.22. And so first and foremost, what we wanted to come across, what we wanted to come at this as is philosophically, first of all, trying to reinforce in people who are going through this process of mortgage and matrimony that in actual fact, don't worry about the pressures. Not only are you not watching any rules, but guess what? No one's doing any rules, so you're okay. Anyone that's pressuring you into the rules is old news. So however you're variable. The interesting thing, however, is in this trend where people are actually buying homes before they get married, there are legal complications. And the legal complication is that you don't have the same laws protecting you as you do when you're married. So the advice there is, if you're going to do that, then you get yourself paid. It's worth it for a lawyer to get in there and make sure that between you, your rights are, you know, protected, because that also can cause a lot of problems. So whatever the variable is, whether you get married before you get a home, you get married, after you have a home, whether you have the, you know, a contract signed up, these are your decisions, that they're all tools. Like, for example, you chose the tool of, we're going to save for our home, and we're going to get this amazing venue, and you have probably the best celebration ever. I feel like I was there. I do.
Yeah.
That's it. I said to Michelle, this is weird now because I really feel like I was at that wedding because we did a little video for your wedding. And I'm like, Michelle, I think I'm obsessed and I have to stop looking at Jackie Zuk.
So I think we've done a lot on this particular topic.
Agreed.
I mean, one of our viewers has said, let's get on with the show. So even though the show is this, but
that was
but
my sister Lillian.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay, carry on.
So
it's okay. This is our first run. We'll have plenty more structured ones. So it's so good.
That's true. That's true. But I think we've covered that. I think we've covered.
No, I agree. All right. So I want to go back to my question. So we talked about styles. We talked about, like wedding dresses themselves, like price ranges, because we talked about that on our actual audio show. But for people who are watching live, what is the average cost of a wedding gown? What do they range from, and all of that?
Our wedding gowns range from anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500. But again, a bride has a choice. You can go, that would be in a full service bridal salon, and they really take care of you. And that's where our dresses are. And that's the choice that we have made.
Right.
But brides can purchase dresses as low as $99. And if that works for them, then that's what they should do. And they can have budgets of up to $20,000 to $5,000. And then that's what they should do. But we have found that this is the price point that we are comfortable in offering our brides. So a bride
just a follow-up. So like with the seamstress, so obviously the Kleinfeld's, like that's all included. So it really is like
no, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
And that's something that is actually a very important topic, because the alteration process itself is all labor, and it's professional women. These women are unbelievable. They have got golden hands. And it's difficult, I know, for a lot of people to understand that, okay, so I bought my dress. Shouldn't it be perfect? Shouldn't I just be able to put it on and wear it and put on my shoes and go and just bustle? It doesn't work that way. Usually a dress, unless it is a couture dress and it has been made with a muslin, meaning all your measurements, thousands of them have been taken, and then a prototype of your dress through a muslin, meaning muslin fabric, has been made, and that's tweaked, and then that becomes a very custom gown. But most brides will go to a store or wherever they go to pick up, wherever they go to select their dress, and they will be measured: bust, waist, high, hip, and hip. Those are the 4 basic measurements. And that is then plugged into the designer's measurement chart. And from that measurement chart, the size is ordered. So then the gown comes in, and then it needs to be altered, meaning it needs to be tweaked, it needs to be fitted to your body. And that is a separate charge. And it should be, because these women who work on this is a dying art. They are unbelievable. They make those dresses perfection. So not only do they have to take it in, let it out, add perhaps some applique, they also do the bustle, meaning that the train is pulled up so that it's...
You can be comfortable and walk around. Right, exactly.
So usually a dress is quoted as the price, and then alterations is additional.
Good to know. Thank you for breaking that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while for me, so I kind of forgot.
I give you a message to somebody here, ladies, because it's now in Sydney, 8:53 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, and you have a 9 a.m. appointment. No problem.
Not anymore, I don't.
Okay.
I tell you what's interesting. So when we're breaking it down, we get into details and the minutiae of wedding planning and budgets. I think what's a misnomer is when a bride invests in her look, and we find that brides are absolutely, the gown is still everything. That's the one thing. Whether it's a myth or not, I don't know, but we can see it, we can feel it. It is absolutely everything. But what's being left out, and what I think people need to be advised of more, we try to, the gown. You have a veil if you choose a veil. You have a headpiece if you choose a headpiece. You have lingerie if you choose the lingerie. You have shoes. You have alteration. You have hair. You have makeup. You have jewelry. You have all of that stuff, right? And the bottom line is that needs to be added as part of the bill. That is part of the expenditure. And that's important. Brides need to know that. I think brides are savvy, but I think that, who's going to sit there and say to a bride, okay, well, here's the bottom line. people are beginning to, they don't like to talk about expenses. We are very real. Second of all, I think that the average price of bridal gown in America at the moment, the bride will spend is approximately $1,500 something. We chose the $2,000 to the $3,500, $4,000 mark because there's quality that comes with the price. And so with our gowns, there's a huge difference that we deliver anyway, when it's from the $1,500 to the $2,000 Michelle Roth or Henry Roth dress. It's about fabrication, construction. It's a whole other ball game. And I believe that brides are discerning of this. They understand, they can see it. They might not know why. You can see how it feels. So I think that's one of the expenses. And at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to give you both a list of the top items that brides spend, that goes to a budget. And in one word, I'm going to ask you to advise how you could actually, because I will get to the nitty-gritty at the end, I suggest, and we will advise in one word how you can save that particular item. So say, for example, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, give me an example, please.
I love it. Americans are so literal. It's fantastic. Michelle said, nobody actually really understands what you're saying. I said, that's good. They're not supposed to. But basically, for example, if we said flowers. So if you say flowers, how do you budget for flowers? The answer would be, or one of the answers would be, don't buy seasonal. Don't buy off season. So I'm going to call out each kind of item, and it's interesting. There's no right or wrong answer, but it just will hopefully then be people at the end of this.
Guys, just say hi to Sunita. She commented. Just
Sunita, I saw that. Hi, Sunita. Sunita. Oh,
she was just in the New York Times yesterday. She has a tea company. She's so cool.
Oh, I love tea. I drink a lot of tea.
You have some amazing followers. You have some amazing people that really support what you do, Jackie. I've noticed that. I really have. It's you have people from all over the world and all different walks of life. So lovely to meet some of the people that we have in common. And that is we admire your work.
Yay! Thanks, Henry. That was really nice. All right, I'm ready for game time. Let's do it.
Are you ready? Okay. You Americans are way too fast for us Australians.
We move fast.
I can't even tell you how much I have missed out. Because in Australia, when they deliver something, it's like they can't be rushed, right? That's all another conversation. Okay.
Thank goodness.
So where my list is, my list used to live in this
Where is it?
I'm going to show everybody what the printout looks like. It turns into hieroglyphics.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Did you see that?
So what I'm going to do is instead of me going away from my audio, so I can't go into the audio at the moment, I suggest as follows. Let's think about all the items and how you
I've got the items.
Is that from the knot? It says it's actually a table, Michelle, and on the table I tried to.
Oh, I don't have the table.
Actually, everybody.
It's the one that says don't order out of season. Meet people.
I don't think I'll have that, but I'll just roll with it. I'll be fine.
Please stand by, everybody, and everybody that's watching. Thank you very much.
That is Henry's favorite saying, by the way. Please stand by.
Please stand by.
I love saying stand by.
So funny.
It is my favorite saying. Okay, I'm finding this, but okay, this is all my notes that we're going to be beautifully printed out. That's all. That was my knot. That was the knots little thing there we've got, which is
now I see it.
Cool. Okay.
So Jackie and Michelle,
yeah.
If you give me one more second, it'll come or it won't.
Please stand by.
Please stand by.
Please stand by. Operators are waiting to take your call.
When I got married, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Didn't even have my dress. I didn't even have
your dress. Did you design your
I had
own
my dress the night before. It was really very special. Yep.
It was unbelievable.
Special.
Unbelievable.
I walked back into. Oh, have you got it, Henry?
No,
it doesn't matter.
I read it. So I'm going to be able to say what the actual items are that mainly people spend their.
Okay. Okay.
So the first one is, and we'll do a bit of a cheat thing, is flowers. How can people save on their budget with flowers?
Okay.
We already know.
Well, I was going to say
that they're in season.
I was going to suggest that too, and people now are doing paper flowers.
And paper flowers, or doing Swarovski crystals.
Ooh.
which
Like
they
that one.
add into the floral arrangement,
Love it.
or they do like a country fern grasses. That's also beautiful. Yeah.
We haven't got that trend yet.
Okay.
We haven't. I'm going to make a note of that over here. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great. Second of all, but also there is a price conversely on people who are conscious, I believe, of the planet and sustainability and all that sort of stuff. There's a price to pay for that. So it depends what you think is money worth spent on. Do you want to buy flowers that are grown locally and within reason of not having it shipped over from Amsterdam? But food miles and product miles, all that sort of stuff. That's another story. Okay. Second item. Are you ready?
Yep.
Your reception area, your reception place.
The venue. The venue.
How
do you save money on that? How do you save money? Well, the way that you decorate.
More and more people now are doing like warehouses where you can go in and just bring everything yourself.
Yes.
That's good. These are all right. These are all right questions. We might want to add things like, don't have your wedding. I mean, I would never do that. I would always have it by back season, but don't have your wedding necessarily when it's at the height and peak of wedding season.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you don't even have to have it on the days that normally people get married. But then I think that looks a little bit sad. We're getting married on
Wednesday.
Right. Well, more and more people are doing that now. You even
People
see
do
celebrities doing this all the time.
You know why? Because people don't want to have their weekends ruined as well.
It's true.
I'm being honest. Some people just don't want to go flying somewhere, and it's Labor Day weekend and it's a wedding.
Right.
So how do you compete with New Year's Eve? How do you compete with New Year's Eve?
That's a really big. That's a.
Wait,
that's
honey, I couldn't hear the question. Can you put the phone closer?
I'm sorry, of course, the audio is compromised by me. I'm sabotaging my own sound, which is probably very good. What I was saying was New Year's Eve. It's a trend now. The bride's getting married on New Year's Eve. Could you do that?
Could you do what? I couldn't hear
Get
it.
married on New Year's Eve.
Oh my God, that's a great. I keep hearing. I wouldn't do that personally. It's crazy expensive to get married on New Year's Eve.
That's the point. That's the point. That's exactly the point. So.
Oh God. Okay. So anyway, so the thing is, with venues, it's
Give us another one.
Be clever, like you were. Sorry.
Give us another one.
Yeah, give us another one. I'm ready.
Chop chop.
Okay. Number 3. The wedding dress itself. How many you buy still the same style? You sure might know this answer. You might know this answer as well, don't you? But I'll still be able to save money on the gown. Same style.
Same style?
Okay.
Are you talking about accessories as well?
I'm just talking about the gown itself. Think about the back of the dress. That's it.
The train?
The back of the dress. Yes.
So wait.
So how can you save that much though, Henry?
Nice.
The train.
Sometimes, often, not always, a gown overall that has no train is going to overall be less expensive or have less expensive.
A little bit. Yeah, I suppose it depends on what the train is. No, you're right. Depends on whether it's a lace train. It could be a beaded train.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And then you can. So if you do a floor length just with a little bit of a sweep train and then do a long veil, you can get the same effect, but it just makes the dress a little bit less expensive when you do a floor length. However, some people do charge for making the train shorter. So you have to balance that up.
Or the other thing is, I suppose, obviously, actually this is not a rule of thumb. I mean, yes and no. I think overall, though, if you ask the train to be shorter, what Michelle's saying is, basically eats it up, because then somebody, a designer might say, okay, we could do the train shorter for you, but surprise on your bill,
no,
they charge you for pattern change.
Yeah, but exactly, there are pattern changes. Somebody has to redraw the pattern.
Right.
Right. So
maybe
this is like all technical ground. I don't know nothing about this, by the way.
Next one. Next one.
I want to explain this point. It's important. What we're saying is this: that there is an overall concept that when you buy a gown and you ask for that gown, which originally came in a longer train, to have the floor length, then logically speaking, the fabric that trains take at the back is a lot of fabric, and therefore you would lose the cost of the fabric, and that's somehow brought back into the price of the wedding dress.
Makes it less. Makes it less.
Same
A
style,
little bit less.
No, right. But Michelle's saying, however, some designers go back and say that's okay, but we had to charge a pattern change because the original dress was with a long train, and now the original dress is not with a long train, so we have to change the pattern. What's our policy?
It depends on the dress, but sometimes we also charge for a pattern change. Because somebody has to make it.
So they call this a pattern change? You're like teaching me something I've never even known.
Yes. Anything that you're altering on the dress, anything at all, like raising or lowering necklines, adding sleeves, shortening or lengthening a train, these are all changes that you're making to the original. So in order to do that, the pattern has to be changed, or a pattern has to be created for a sleeve, plus fabric and the accessories that go with it. Yeah.
That was like a fun fact of this evening.
Yes, that's also a cost. That's a cost to the dress.
So what you said is key when you're going on to the next item. So won't be rushed. See, Australians are slower. We're more thorough, though.
That's not true. Americans are very thorough too, but we just...
We might lose 3/4 of our audience, but we're much more thorough.
I know, we might lose everyone.
What the key there is, the truth of the matter is that you have to ask the designer or the people who you're buying the gown from,
right,
is it a false economy or not? Because for us, some of them will be charged it's a pattern change, some of it won't. So you need to be upfront and you need to be advised whether it's right.
Or if you go to a trunk show, when you go to a trunk show, in other words, this is where a designer displays every single, basically almost every design that they've ever had for that season or 2 seasons, and they bring it to the store. And quite often, if you're lucky and the designer is there or their representative is there and you have a change, maybe if you purchase at the trunk show, you can save on the changes. Not all of them, but for example, sometimes I do buttons. If a bride wants buttons to the end of the train, sometimes I will say, okay, that is a gift from Henry and I. So at trunk shows are a very good way when you're purchasing your gown at the trunk show to save on some of the changes that you make in your dress.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's great.
And the interesting thing is, because, imagine you're there at the trunk show, you get connected with this bride, you want to gift in some way, and so therefore it's going to be, sometimes client will call us up and they'll say, look, we have a bride, her budget is such and such, can you possibly work with us? But that's unique because we have a really intimate relationship with clientele. But overall, trunk shows are a way where it dissolves a little bit, the price can be dissolved a little bit. Yeah.
All right, Jackie.
Great questions. This has been so fun, guys. Oh my God. I can't believe we got on live and we did all of this.
We've done it.
What?
Jackie might want to round up. She might want to ask another question or two. We're going to leave it to
round up. This is great. I want to create another segment. Like, it was awesome.
I know. I really enjoyed this so much.
Yeah, so we have some great viewers. So, like, anybody that's watching right now or in the future, if you have questions going forward, please ask so we can answer them.
Yes, because we love questions.
Yeah, because that also makes it more engaging. What did you say, Henry?
Communicate with us, though. There's a way to communicate with us. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking they could ask questions by either popping onto Next on Scene on your Instagram account, I would imagine, and if that's okay with you, and asking questions on your messaging thing, or alternatively, they can hop onto Michelle Roth Brides on our Instagram account or on Facebook, or they can go to our website, which is michelleroth.com and henryroth.com. Plenty of ways to communicate your questions to us, which is fine. And are we going to do a summary of today's show? Who would like to do that?
Sounds like you. Yeah, Henry could do it.
Thank you for asking. I'd love to do a summary. I've been put against the wall again, and I reluctantly will speak because I'm a wilting flower. Okay. First of all, the energy today, I'll summarize as follows. Regardless of technology or not technology, delay or not delay, the start of this show has been blessed and anointed by patience and by goodwill and about a team effort. People pull each other down too often in a workplace, in a work situation, and so that does not give anyone any benefits. If we would have been on your case, if we would have been on our case, then it would not have been, we would have come into the show with the mood that we come into. It's about cooperation, number one. Thank you. Thank you for,
the spirit of it, correct.
Yeah. for not getting angry that my volume just wasn't working yet for about an hour. Number two, I think that the summary is this. Whatever your decision making is, it really comes down to two things. You've got coming ahead of you. If you're a bound person that your dreams and your dreams want to continuing in the way that you want them to, you have the reality of a home and the reality of a celebration. Ultimately, because often most people will be paying or will be paying a portion of whatever it is, you have much more control over what you want your celebration to be. And I think it's a rule of thumb now. Do what you feel is right for you. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the people that matter don't care, and the people that care don't matter. That's number two. So really, there are so many variables, Michelle pointed out, as you yourself, your own personal experience. And number three, you could probably tell us more savvy ideas on how you can save money or not save money. So it's not so much about saving money, it's about being strategic. And that's the summary for now.
Oh, Henry, that was so good.
That was great.
And succinct, Henry. I love that. You're so good at this.
I am secretly succinct.
You are. You're very good.
I like how you brought it all together, though.
Yes.
That was really very, very good.
It's a skill that I had from all the TV I've done. So all the TV I've done, they tried to script me. And what they do is normally, and I'll have another thing of I like reality TV, you want to really exist and you were in the industry, we're all in the industry. But basically they want to put a thing, you just call an IVF or whatever, I call it the IVF, into my ear. And they would say to me things like, just listen to what we have to tell you to say, and you'll say it. I'm like, listen, I'm going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. I'm going to turn you bankrupt. Because if you put more words into my head, nothing's going to come out. So I've never been scripted. I've always...
Yeah, but to be fair, sorry, I don't want to interrupt because I don't want anyone to think that you're a total renegade and you just do whatever you want. You ask for, what do you want me to convey? What do you want me to project? What is the idea? And then you have a huge vocabulary, so nobody needs to add words. And then you deliver. But it's not like you say, don't tell me, it's because you know what they want. That's very different.
Michelle just shored up my personal branding.
Look at that. Team effort right there.
Thank you, Jackie.
What that enabled me to do, because I'm going to let out a secret out of the bag, when you're a host of a TV show, especially in reality TV, you're never given access to actually the production. What happens is you are at arm's length and you are supposed to have nothing to do with pre-production at all. And I convinced my producers, any show I had anywhere in the world, all over the place, that I needed to sit in there, that I had a business head, and that I can actually be the host that you want me to be and be at arm's length. But at the same time, I can do the pre-production and be sitting in there. And that's when I gave myself the role of writing my own scripts. And second of all, say you're taking for hours, right? But the show really wants a 30-second take. So it's that skill that I try to have that tries to convey. But I know I speak too much, and I know I've got too many words. But Jackie,
on that wonderful note, actually.
Okay, so on that wonderful note, can you two tell everybody how they can follow you on social media? I definitely want to. Sunita says, "Great job" to us, so just make sure.
Thank you, Sunita.
Yeah, she's so
much.
Michelle, would you like to point out?
No, I would like you to do that because it's.
Anyway, okay, Jackie, thank you very much. Well, you can follow Jackie on Instagram and you can follow her on Facebook. She's on Next on Scene. This program can be downloaded on every possible platform under the sun, including Spotify and TuneIn. And Podbean, my favorite one.
iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we are honoured to be on this show because Jackie has a history of more than 4 years, starting from her own particular apartment. And I think it's 500,000 people who have this viewership, so I just wanted to put that in. And for us the people here, we are available on Instagram, Michelle Roth Brides, and Henry Roth Brides on Facebook, Michelle Roth Brides and Henry Roth Brides. Pinterest, the same thing. And please follow us, please follow you, and may your audience grow to 1 million by the end of the year.
That would be amazing. I was so honored to have you guys both on my first real video podcast.
We're thrilled too, Jackie. We love speaking to you. You know that.
Yes, you look relaxed, Jackie. You look relaxed. You look like you had a good time. If that's what
You guys make me relaxed because I was really tense earlier with the technology stuff that was going down. But it's good. It all worked out.
Hiccups always pass, so it's fine.
It's true. It's so true. Well,
thank you very much.
Definitely make sure to follow them. They're amazing and such great people.
Thank you. Henry, have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day, Henry. Have a good night, Michelle.
Uh-oh.
No, don't you do that. Don't you do that. I need to just do a little video thing of us talking, and then we can go our merry way.
Okay, I'm going to take a picture, too.
I'll leave it to you to take you guys to.
So first of all, I'm going to take a picture.
Wait, can you guys wave? Because I'm going to take a picture.
I never know where to look.
I don't either. Just, it's fine.
Don't wave. Okay.
Go away. Smiling, everyone.
We're cute.
I don't think this will do video, so I think you're off the hook. Let me just try. Please stand by, everyone. Yeah, it won't give you video because I'm using the thing. If you two want to talk, I'll get off the audio, and I just want to do a 2 quick second thing of like just however you want to speak, and I'll use that as a video. Please stand by, everybody.
Okay.
We're still recording on Facebook.
So should we say good night to everybody? And
good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Wherever you are. Bye.
Bye from New York City.
Oh, wait, let me make sure it's closing. Hold on.
That's lovely.